is Lydia once more from Carter's Live, and a big thank you to Wafi Apps for this amazing opportunity to be with you this afternoon. And we've now actually come to the moment you've all been waiting for, and we have just hiding in the wings the awesome, my husband of course, Jason Carter. So can we please welcome Jason? Jason, and I'm going to hand over to you.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, if you'd like to have a seat.
Thank you very much, so kind of you.
And you've got an interesting instrument here, haven't you?
I have. This is a harp guitar. This is made by a guitar maker in France called Sean Woolley. Sean is a good friend of mine, and Sean makes all my instruments now. The Spanish guitar is made by Sean Woolley. This is also a Sean Woolley guitar. Harp guitar has got a very interesting history. The harp guitar was manufactured first, or made in the Baroque period, so 250 years ago or so. And it was a very creative time for instrument making. All kinds of weird experiments went on. But in those days, instruments survived based upon their value in terms of composition. So if composers took the instrument and made music for it, or wrote music for it, then the instrument would grow. Sadly, the poor old harp guitar had only had a couple of pieces written for it, and it sort of died a very sad and slow death, and ended up being played in the Schlager bars of Germany and Austria. But then, for some bizarre reason, two Danish brothers in New York City in the late 1800s decided to manufacture them. There was no kind of test of the market to see if it would sell. They just basically made these harp guitars en masse, manufactured them, and they sold. And the harp guitar became the guitar of America in the late 1800s. And so if you Google harp guitar, you'll get a lot of old photographs of guys playing very big harp guitars with loads of strings. And then World War I put a stop to that, and the harp guitar disappeared again for decades and decades. And then an American guitarist called Michael Hedges, he was a profoundly amazing musician and player, found a harp guitar, one of the original Dyer harp guitars, or Larson harp guitars, in his grandfather's attic, and saw it and thought, he knew nothing about it, and thought, what is that? He put some strings on it and started playing it, and Michael composed some really beautiful pieces, I mean, profoundly good guitar pieces, or harp guitar pieces with the instrument. And so, if you went to YouTube, let's say 12, 13 years ago, when I started looking, the only video you could find was Michael Hedges playing one piece, and it's called Because It's There. It's a great piece, it's still online, it's an amazing piece of music. Now, if you search for harp guitar, you'll get hundreds, if not thousands, of videos. So I started making music videos with the harp guitar back in 2007. And so my videos were among probably one of maybe 50 to 100 videos on YouTube, but now they are just swamped. The guitar's history, it used to have more strings and a different tuning. The Spanish guitars we see it now, the 6-string guitar was developed in Spain, so it sort of standardized the EAD, GPE tuning. But now we're seeing a lot of even normal instrument shops selling guitars with 7 strings, 8 strings, and lower bass strings. And so it's becoming, again, a more open market for makers to experiment. So this is, what I love about it is that it has this bigger register, so it's much deeper sound. So you have this possibility of getting this gorgeous, sort of long, sustained bass notes like this that last for a long time. Still sounding, still sounding, still sounding. If I take a normal guitar and play the same note, it disappears much quicker. So what I love about the harp guitar is if you play too fast or too busy, you get a lot of overtones, ugly overtones. So it's a case of knowing your instrument, knowing what its strengths are, and composing music around that. So maybe I should play a piece of music for you just to give you an example of what it can do. So I love to try new things with instruments to see what's possible, and I discovered that, of course, there's a little opening here for a bow. So here's a bow, and I realised that you can actually create a drone. I thought that's really cool. But what else? So then, So that was the Colour of Silence, and for me, music has been, a way of life for so many years. I spent 25 years traveling the world, playing in more than 100 countries, and I became very passionate about music as a platform for intercultural dialogue, where music is an unspoken language that we all speak. So without words, of course, as in my case, instrumental music, you can take it anywhere and you can interact with anyone without language. And so it took me to North Korea, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Mozambique, Estonia, China, Russia. And I became addicted to these experiences of going out there and sitting with people from completely different backgrounds, completely different walks of life, but being able to communicate with music as a common language is amazing. But as a solo performer, when I did solo guitar concerts or harp guitar concerts, it's not enough to sit there and play good guitar. I mean, I developed my technique and my musicianship to a point where I was as good as the next person. But I realized that it was the stories and engagement with people that was the thing that opened the doors. So if I sat on stage for an hour and a half and just played guitar, no matter how well, I'm going to lose people in the journey. Whereas by accident, I learned how to tell stories. And so I wear these plastic nails for playing guitar. One of them broke during a Spanish guitar piece. I had to fix it on stage. So I took my nail kit and my glue and started gluing my nails. And I couldn't just sit there and do that. So I started telling stories of that process, and where I did that in bizarre places, on train stations and parties and stuff like that. And then people started laughing. I thought, hang on a second, this is an engagement. And so then I realised I had a whole load of stories to tell, like crazy stories from North Korea, from Afghanistan, from bizarre places that people have never been to or don't want to go to. Then I realised that actually my stories were stories of hope, because my stories are all positive. So they're all about interaction, about inspiring people, about bringing people together. So therefore, suddenly the concepts and the identity became that. And so by accident, I learned that in a way what my role was as a musician, and that became really enjoyable, and it became really important to bring stories of hope, to bring stories of joy, to bring stories of connection. So that whole package became my life, became my identity, and as a human being, but also as a musician. And so I'd like to encourage you. You may have a gift or a talent that you want to pursue or develop, or you may already have one. I'm just saying that it may not be enough to present that talent and ability to an audience, because you can wow someone for 5 minutes by playing a virtuoso guitar piece or playing a drum solo on tins of paint. But there's only a limit. There's a limit to that. What's your story? Who are you? I think those are the things that are really important when it comes to engaging people. So if you're starting a YouTube channel or starting any kind of social media activity, work out what your story is, because it won't be enough. Your product is not enough. I think one of the great things about Wafi apps, and what we've been chatting today about various ideas about how we can come on board with them and engage an audience. And I think it's really exciting that we can work alongside a company like Wafi apps in developing their product, their identity, because also it helps us to progress, and we love telling stories. So I think it's a really, really great thing. So I know we're live. If anyone's got any questions, please type them in, and I'm sure someone in the room who are all on their phones will read them to me. But I think engagement with people is really important. And we're living in a time now of COVID-19 where we all seem to be isolated more than usual, and the whole world for the first time in generations is living the same story. And I think we've all gone through a process. Step one was, oh my gosh, what's happening? Step two was we found ourselves locked in or isolated in our various places of work or residence or countries. Step three, what do we do with that? And I think as a creator, someone who runs a living from creativity and creative ideas, it's been really challenging and good for us to rethink our approach to how we do things. And I think that we have cameras, we have instruments, we have stories. So we have been just assembling ideas of how we can use our experience, our stories, and our journey to inspire hope for the future. But what I think COVID-19 has done is it's created a new space, a space for new conversations. And I think most of us are tired of stories of fear and anxiety and fake news. And so how can we as creative people, I will challenge anyone who's watching this, what can you do, and what can we do to bring a new message that inspires confidence, that inspires connection, that inspires generosity, that inspires anything to do with the opposite of what we're fed? Because the media is really filling us with bad news. So what can we do to counteract that? And because we are all living the same story. So I'm here in the Middle East, and I'm speaking to you from our studio, and you may be listening from Qatar, or you may be listening from Costa Rica, but you are living the same story as I, of varying degrees. So we're all in the same situation. So what can we do together, creatively, to tell new stories? And I found that an exciting question, and I'm still working out my answer, my own personal answers to, or response to that question. But I'm becoming excited about the future, and excited about, because it's difficult. Musicians, we can't play concerts with people. We can't sit in theatres and interact with large audiences. That may come back to a certain extent on a smaller scale. What other ideas do we have? What else can we do to engage and use our talents and keep going? And as human beings, we've always reinvented ourselves, always. It's never, we get the impression it's over, it's finished. It's not. So it's a time for reinvention, recreation, rethinking what we are doing and why. And whilst that might be a difficult question for some, I think if we can think about it together, so if we can share ideas and communicate ideas together, I think we have a great future ahead of us. So I think I'm going to sign off in a moment. There may be another, I've been told to play, there's someone doing this in the background. Play more guitar, I think that means, yeah. So, play more guitar, let's see what I can do. So, as you guitarists out there, you may have noticed that my guitar was in a very unusual tuning. One of them about the guitar, you can retune it to what you want. So I'm going to put it back into a semi-regular tuning. So, having had a passion and a fascination for the Arabian Gulf for many, many years, I first came to Dubai in 1993, and I was half the age I am now, and for me it was a magical journey into an unknown land. And Dubai in those days was a very quiet, dare I say, dusty town, on the edge of development, with a vision for the future. But still, there were camels in the city centre and cars covered in dust and sand, and you could walk everywhere, and it was just amazing. And everything was negotiable, taxis, and the music and the character of the Khaliji people really got under my skin from day one of arriving at that airport in Dubai in 1993. And I've carried that passion and curiosity through my life in the last 27 years, 28 years. So this music is kind of a thank you to the Khaliji people for at many occasions hosting me in their various countries in the Gulf. And I composed a piece of music called Jessa al-Wadi. Jessa al-Wadi means bridge over the valley. And I've tuned my guitar a bit like the Arabic oud, so you're going to hear some quarter tones and such like. And so here we go, Jessa al-Wadi. So thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you again. Thanks to Wafi apps, and have a great week.